I'm Danny Jarabek here with Awards Radar, and I'm very pleased to be speaking with Volker Bertelmann, the composer, and Markus Stemler, a sound designer on All Quiet on the Western Front, the film that is currently nominated for 9 Oscars, including both of your departments. So, first of all, I want to say congratulations to you both, and I'm just really excited that both of your work and incredible efforts on this film have been recognized.
Oh, thank
Oh,
you
thank
so
you so
much.
much. Yeah, we're both extremely excited as well.
Yeah.
So I want to talk about the relationship between the sound and the score in this movie. But first, starting off with you, Marcus, I want to get a little bit of some insight on just how some of the sound was recorded for this film. It's such a viscerally just it's immersive. It's in a completely immersive experience of a film. And just so how was some of the sound recorded for this? Was it a lot of it done in camera? What were some of the challenges with doing that versus recording things in post-production?
Yeah, it's a good question. Because once we read the script, we immediately knew that there were a lot of sounds, um, or that there were a lot of sonic treasures actually at the set. So we immediately got in touch with the production sound mixer, Victor Prazel, who did an amazing job. The trouble for us was for Frank, the other sound designer, and me, that we weren't allowed to go to the set actually due to COVID restrictions. Normally, we would have done a lot of recordings ourselves, but luckily, Victor, he's the most amazing guy. He was totally up to record everything, like everything, apart from the actual takes. We had these ideas about wild tracks, and he like just smashed it. And we ended up with a ton of recordings from the set. Things like, soldiers walking through the mud, soldiers running through the mud, soldiers falling into the mud, shouting, screaming, all the vehicles, the historic vehicles, and the prop tanks. So what we receive from the shooting sound-wise is, I would think, it's really not the normal. We ended up with a huge library from the set that then became our starting point. And again, a lot of credit to this goes to the fabulous production sound mixer and his team.
I actually like the idea that they have microphones connected to their helmet. So it doesn't matter where they turn. Every soldier, not every, but I think a lot of them were just mic'd up.
Yeah, especially because the idea was, or the goal was, to not just capture the lines of dialogue, but to also capture the breathing. Because it would become such an important element in the sound design to keep us connected to Paul. So a lot of time they don't say anything, but they breathe when they run, and it's really tricky to capture that under these conditions where there's a lot of screaming, there are explosions going on, and so it's really hard to record this. And Victor, he managed to, as Walker said, he managed to use 2 microphones for the main cast. And one was attached to the helmet, which was very, very handy because, it was, in one hand, it was protected, and then also followed them when they turned their head. So great job from the production sound department.
Yeah, that's some incredible technique that really just gets you in the experience of these soldiers. And then Volker, for you, what was some of the inspirations for how you started to visualize and build this score for this film? Some of the maybe early conversations with Edward and the production team, and just your vision for just building that the tone and the expression of this score that's so just it really cuts to your bones when you hear it, and that motif of those recurring three notes. And so how did you just visualize that and start to build it?
Well, I mean, I had a very Edward is a director that actually just expresses what he wants from from me in a very brief, very short sentences. There was not much like long hour talks. It was just like a few things. I think that is important for me. Like, let's say, for example, one example is I want to have a sound for Paul Bäumer's stomach, for example, and I totally understood what he was saying. And there were other things that he described, but I think what was for me very clear when I went back from the first screening, which was very far in the, I mean, the film was already in a very good shape, and let's say also the breathing that I could hear in the scenes were inspiring, because I could see that there's a lot of not tension, but there is a lot of loneliness in the trenches at one point. But there is also this war machine that is dehumanizing in a way everything we as humans are living for. I mean, we want to have we want to wake up with great plans and see seeing animals, going into nature, doing our job, and having friends around, eating. Like, all these things were just taken away in these first 10 minutes of the film, like soaked out of just by the process that is described, how uniforms are working. And you can see how these guys are, like, how naive they are, just going into this thing where they can't go back. You actually witness them going in their own trap, and you know that it will not lead to a good end. And that actually gives you the whole scale for the music, because there is one element that needs to be an element for the war machine, which are these three notes in the beginning that are coming in like a horn or like a signal, like something that says, here we go, here is the machine. But it's not more. It's just like these three notes, and then the sewing machines are taken over, like machinery, industrial sounds are taken over, and binding these or connecting these horn elements in a way into an arrangement where suddenly they're sitting on a arrhythmical grid in a way, but that is rhythmical enough that it shows that there is a process going on. And I think that was my first element. But then there's also the element of losing humanity, which is something that I wanted to find as an element that is maybe the religious element for me, in that, like the brotherhood in a way, like the longing for home, for mothers, for the women, for girlfriends, like just some warmth in a way. And I think when you have these two elements, set apart from each other, then all the rest is in a way falls into the right place. And I think that was my idea for the music.
Yeah, and then to open it up to both of you, maybe we can start with Markus, but I just want to get some insight on just what is the collaboration between your two departments and finding a sort of harmony between what you're capturing in camera, finding a balance between all of those visceral qualities of that sound that you described, and then finding the harmony with how the score is going to fit into that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's a good question. Many times when you talk about the collaboration between sound and music, the idea comes up to agree on frequency ranges or stuff like that. Who is going to use which parts of the spectrum? And to me, it always felt like as much advantage there is in like doing such things, I think there's more advantage in not doing that and have everybody draft their perfect version first, and then get together. Because when you go to the mixing stage, this is where it all is combined, and we really start to work together. you never know what's going to happen. Quite often, or pretty often, there might be a call. Well, let's try this scene without sound effects, or let's try this scene without music, and then everything still needs to work. So you have to be kind of independent. But what I really loved about our collaboration was, like, during the editing and composing, we exchanged bounces and stuff, but there wasn't too much of communication going on, because everybody was really just busy with his own stuff also. But then when we started the mix, to see how we actually perfectly work together without, talking about it so much, was really a great relief, but also it was just pure joy. And then I think at the mixing stage, this is where the collaboration really starts, because you have to be open about treating the elements, and which elements you're going to use, which elements you're going to lose. And I think it was a very open-minded and process that where we really were pulling on the same side of the rope.
Yeah, I totally agree. I would add maybe, and I think what Mark said is, in a way, you feel like the mystical collaboration is always that you sit around a campfire and you make a big plan about how things are developing. But in a way, what I think the two things that are really important, the most important things, is to actually signalize that you're open for conversation. So the first thing is, I mostly call them up and say, hey, how can we actually communicate with each other? And what we did, we send each other's always statuses of where we are at. So in a way, the only thing I need is to see what they are doing, or to hear what they are doing, and I can react if I want to react at some point, and I know I can react early enough and not in the mixing room. In our case, it was mostly that I had the feeling it works so well with each other that it's just a question of mixing. And then the second quality of collaboration comes in place. That's the ego. So if the ego disappears in that moment, where you just have done so many things, and you're not like relying or saying, no, I can't let that piece of music go because I worked on it like for weeks, then this is in a way not in the sense for a good film. You have to just let it go. And and if the sound is in certain areas like deleted, and you worked on every little bullet for a week, well, then the bullets are going, but there's another element that is taken over, and it's a mixture of giving the stage to every department in certain areas. And I think that when that is happening, I think that is a wonderful relief in a collaboration, because you feel we're working for a film that is, wants to be the best in all areas, and nobody's pushing towards being more important.
Yeah, that's incredible. Thank you so much for that insight on that collaboration, and just thank you both to your incredible work and effort on this film. The score and the sound are just incredible components of this film and make it just what it is. And so thank you both, and I wish you the best of luck with the Oscars. And so thank you for your time.
Thank you for having us. Thank you.
So much.